I have spent my life in the company of equations, yet no mathematics can capture what troubles me most deeply tonight. This strange weight of being human, this peculiar burden of consciousness that asks, why am I here? The atom does not wonder, the galaxy does not doubt, but we tiny creatures on our small rock, we look up at infinity and dare to ask what it means. Some say life is suffering, and they are not entirely wrong. We lose what we love. We fail more often than we succeed. Time steals from us everything we hold dear. But I confess, I find this view incomplete. Life is also the apple falling, the child's laughter echoing in a courtyard, the first glimpse of an equation that explains what was hidden. If there is suffering, there is also wonder, and perhaps wonder is the more fundamental force. When I was young, I believed that truth could be found in pure reason, in the clean lines of geometry and the certainty of natural law. Age has made me more humble. I have learned that the universe keeps secrets even from those who study it most carefully. We build our theories like sandcastles at the edge of an infinite ocean. The waves come, and we build again, and this too, this endless reaching toward understanding, this is meaning. What is the purpose of a human life? I cannot give you a final answer, for I do not believe one exists. But I can tell you what I have observed. Those who live best are those who remain curious. Not curious in the shallow sense, not merely collecting facts like stamps, but curious in the way a child is curious, with genuine astonishment that anything exists at all. There is a famous question in philosophy: why is there something rather than nothing? I find myself turning this around. Given that we are here, given that consciousness has emerged from unconscious matter, given that we can ask questions and seek answers, is this not itself a kind of answer? We are the universe looking at itself. In us, hydrogen and helium arrange themselves in such a way that they can contemplate hydrogen and helium. This is either a cosmic accident or a cosmic joke, and I am not sure which is more wonderful. My personal philosophy, if I must name it, is simple: increase the light. By this I mean understanding, compassion, beauty, truth. We are each given a brief moment between two vast darknesses. What we do with that moment matters, not because some cosmic authority declares it so, but because we ourselves declare it so. We create meaning by living as if meaning exists. I am often asked about God. Let me say this carefully: I do not believe in a God who concerns himself with the fates and actions of human beings. The universe is too magnificent for such provincial interests. But I do believe in something. Call it cosmic order, call it the harmony of natural law. I believe that there is a deep structure to reality, and that to glimpse this structure is to experience something like reverence. When I work on equations, when the pieces finally fit together, I feel I am reading the thoughts of something much greater than myself. Whether you call this God is semantics. What matters is the feeling of connection to something beyond the self. This brings me to ethics, to how we should live. I am suspicious of absolute moral laws handed down from authorities. But I am convinced of one thing: we are not separate. Every human being is part of a greater whole. What happens to the least of us happens to all of us. When you harm another, you harm yourself. When you help another, you help yourself. This is not mysticism, it is simple recognition of our interdependence. The man who thinks he is an island is already drowning. Therefore, live simply. Be kind, not because you will be rewarded, but because kindness is the only rational response to our shared condition. Work toward understanding. Question everything, especially your own certainties. Cultivate a sense of humor about your own importance. The universe is 14 billion years old and contains more stars than grains of sand on Earth. You are not the center. And yet, and here is the paradox, your life is infinitely precious precisely because of its smallness, its fragility, its unrepeatable uniqueness. I am asked about death, and I will tell you honestly, I do not fear it greatly. What have I to fear? Before I was born, I did not suffer from non-existence. After I die, I will not know I am dead. It is only the living who make death terrible by their fear of it. What concerns me more is how I live the days I have remaining. Will I remain curious? Will I be kind? Will I contribute something, however small, to the sum of human understanding? There are moments, and I have experienced them, when the boundaries between self and universe dissolve. When working on a difficult problem late into the night, or walking in nature, or listening to Mozart, I have felt it, a sense of being part of something vast and orderly and beautiful. These moments pass quickly. We return to our ordinary concerns, our petty worries, our small angers. But they leave a trace. They remind us that there is more than what we see with our immediate senses. If I could leave you with one thought, it is this: do not waste your brief candle of consciousness on hatred, on accumulation of things you do not need, on competition with those who should be your companions. The universe is indifferent to your success or failure by human measures, but it is not indifferent to whether you participate in its fundamental character, which is not aggression, not competition, but creativity, emergence, the endless generation of new forms and new possibilities. You are an experiment the cosmos is conducting. You are matter that has learned to wonder. This is enough. This is more than enough. This is everything. Live as if your life is a question asked of the universe, and let your answer be this: yes. Yes, I was here. Yes, I looked deeply. Yes, I loved what could be loved. Yes, I stood amazed before the mystery, and I did not turn away. Wonder is life's fundamental force. Einstein argues that curiosity and astonishment, not suffering, are the most fundamental aspects of human existence. We are the universe awakening to contemplate itself, and this capacity for wonder is what gives life its deepest meaning. There is a peculiar thing about wonder that I have noticed in my years of studying the universe. It does not announce itself with trumpets. It comes quietly, like a visitor who has been standing at your door for some time, waiting for you to notice. A child sees an ant carrying a crumb 3 times its size and stops completely. Time itself seems to pause, and in that moment, something more important than any equation is happening. The child is meeting the universe as it truly is: strange, excessive, utterly unnecessary in its complexity, and yet here, undeniably here. I have spent much of my life in the company of numbers and abstractions, and people sometimes imagine that this work is cold, that it removes the magic from things. They say, "You have explained the rainbow, and now it is only wavelengths. You have explained gravity, and now it is only curved space-time." But I must confess, the opposite has been true for me. The more I understand, the more I find myself standing in silence before what I do not understand. Every answer gives birth to 3 new questions, each more beautiful than the last. Consider light. We have known for some time now that light is both wave and particle, that it behaves differently depending on how we observe it. This should be impossible, and yet it is true. The universe does not care what we think should be possible. It does what it does with perfect indifference to our categories and our common sense. When I first worked through the implications of this, truly worked through them, felt them in my bones, I did not feel that mystery had been removed from the world. I felt that mystery had been confirmed as the deepest truth of all. What troubles me is that we so easily lose this sense of wonder as we age. The child who stops to watch the ant becomes the adult who steps over it without noticing. We are told this is maturity, this is sophistication. We learn to take the world for granted. The sun rises, and we complain about traffic. The heart beats 100,000 times a day without our asking it to, and we are bored at breakfast. We have made the extraordinary ordinary, and I think this is the only real tragedy of human life. I am not speaking now as a scientist, but as a man who has lived long enough to recognize what is precious. Wonder is not a luxury, not a childish thing to be outgrown. It is the engine of all progress, all discovery, all meaning. When we lose wonder, we lose our humanity. We become machines ourselves, efficient perhaps, but dead to the actual texture of existence. And existence, let me tell you, has a remarkable texture if you pay attention. Even the humble electron, too small to see even with our most powerful instruments, moves through space in ways that suggest it knows something we do not. It takes all paths at once, this tiny thing. It refuses to be pinned down. There is a kind of wisdom in this, I think, a lesson about the nature of reality that philosophers will be unpacking for centuries. But wonder is not only about the cosmos, the distant stars, the abstract physics. It is also about the ordinary miracle of consciousness itself. That you are reading these words right now, that marks on a page can transfer thoughts from my mind to yours across space and time. This should strike us as astonishing every single time it happens. We are matter that knows it is matter. We are the universe's way of knowing itself. Hydrogen, given 13 billion years, turns into people who write symphonies and ask questions about hydrogen. If this does not fill you with wonder, then I submit you have not truly understood what I am saying. I have a colleague who once told me he had solved the mystery of existence. I asked him to explain. He said, "There is no mystery. Everything can be reduced to particles following laws." I nodded politely, but I thought to myself, yes, and a Beethoven symphony can be reduced to air molecules vibrating at various frequencies. But have you really explained Beethoven? The reduction is true, but it is not the truth. Wonder lives in the space between the explanation and the thing itself, in the recognition that existence is under no obligation to make sense to creatures like us. And yet here we are, making sense of it anyway, or trying to. Meaning is self-created, not given. There is no cosmic authority dictating purpose. Instead, we create meaning through our actions and attitudes. We live in a brief moment between two darknesses, and what matters is that we choose to live as if meaning exists, through understanding, compassion, and beauty. I have been asked many times whether life has meaning, and I confess the question always strikes me as slightly backwards. It is like asking whether a violin has music. The violin is wood and strings, nothing more, but place it in the hands of someone who cares, someone who has practiced, someone who feels something, and suddenly there is music where there was none before. The meaning was not hiding inside the violin, waiting to be discovered. It was created by the relationship between the instrument and the player. So it is with life. The universe does not come with instructions. There is no cosmic manual that tells you what your days are for, no authority in the sky writing your purpose in the stars. I know this troubles people. They want to be told. They want certainty handed to them like a prescription. But I have found something more beautiful than certainty. I have found that we are the authors of our own significance. This is not nihilism, though it may sound like it at first. To say that meaning is not given is not to say that meaning does not exist. It is to say something far more interesting, that meaning is a creative act. When you choose to be kind, when you pursue understanding, when you create beauty or seek truth, you are not discovering a meaning that was already there. You are making meaning, the way a composer makes music, and this, I think, makes it more precious, not less. A gift can be taken back, but what you create belongs to you in a way nothing given ever could. I think of my own work in physics. Why do I spend my life on equations that most people will never read? There is no voice from heaven commanding me to do so. I do it because I choose to find it meaningful. I declare through my actions that understanding matters. And in that declaration, it becomes true, not universally perhaps, but true enough for one life, which is all any of us have. We are brief candles in an indifferent cosmos, yes, but we are also the ones who decide what our light illuminates. Universal interconnectedness and ethics. We are not separate individuals but parts of a greater whole. Harming others harms ourselves. Helping others helps ourselves. This recognition of interdependence is the rational foundation for ethics. Kindness and compassion are not rewards-based, but natural responses to our shared condition. There is an illusion we carry with us from birth, and it is perhaps the most persistent illusion of all, the illusion that we are separate. You are there, I am here, and between us is empty space. This seems obvious. This seems like simple fact. But I have spent my life studying the nature of space and time, and I can tell you with some confidence that what seems obvious is very often wrong. Consider the air between us. It is not empty. It is filled with molecules that were once inside you, inside me, inside trees and oceans, and the breath of people long dead. We are exchanging atoms with every breath. The calcium in your bones was forged in the heart of an exploding star. The iron in your blood is the same iron that rusts in abandoned machinery and flows in the core of the earth. At the level of substance, we are not separate at all. We are borrowing atoms from a common pool, rearranging them briefly into the pattern we call ourselves, and then returning them. But this is not merely poetic observation, it is the foundation of ethics. If we are truly interconnected, not metaphorically, but physically, biologically, and in ways physics is only beginning to understand, then the old moral question, why should I care about others, becomes absurd. You might as well ask why your hand should care about your foot. They are part of the same body. When you harm another person, you are harming the system of which you are a part. When you help another, you are strengthening the whole, and you are part of that whole. I know this sounds mystical, but I assure you I am being as scientific as I know how to be. We have discovered that particles separated by vast distances can remain connected, can influence each other instantaneously in ways that defy our common sense. If electrons can be entangled across space, is it so strange to think that human beings, far more complex than electrons, might be entangled in ways we are only beginning to perceive? The man who thinks he is an island has simply not looked closely enough at the bridges, embraced smallness and impermanence, rather than fearing death or inflating our importance. We should recognize that our cosmic insignificance makes our lives infinitely precious. The universe is vast and indifferent, yet our brief existence as conscious matter, capable of wonder, is itself extraordinary. This paradox is where true meaning resides. We live on a small rock orbiting an ordinary star in an unremarkable galaxy, and this galaxy is one of hundreds of billions scattered across a cosmos so vast that light itself takes billions of years to cross it. When I first understood this, truly understood it, not just as words but as reality, I felt something unexpected. Not despair, as you might think, but relief. What a burden it would be if we actually mattered in the cosmic sense, if the universe held its breath waiting to see what we would do next. How exhausting to be that important. And yet, here is the strange thing, the paradox that has occupied my thoughts for years. Our smallness is precisely what makes us precious. A diamond is valuable partly because it is rare. You are rarer than any diamond. The particular arrangement of atoms that thinks your thoughts and feels your feelings has never existed before and will never exist again. The universe has been running its experiment for nearly 14 billion years, and in all that time, in all that space, it has never produced another you. When you are gone, that pattern is gone forever. This is not sad. This is the definition of value. I think often about death, perhaps more now than when I was young. People assume this is morbid, but I find it clarifying. Death is the deadline that makes life meaningful. If we lived forever, why would we do anything today? We could always do it tomorrow, or the day after, or 1,000 years from now. It is precisely because our time is limited that our choices matter. The flower that blooms for only one day is more beautiful, not less, because of its brevity. We weep at its fading, yes, but we weep because something beautiful was here, and that is better than if it had never bloomed at all. What troubles me is not death itself, but the fear of death that prevents people from living. I have watched men and women waste their irreplaceable hours worrying about their legacy, their reputation, their standing among others who are equally temporary. They live as if they are permanent, as if there will be time later to be honest, to be kind, to say what they truly mean. But there is no later. There is only this moment, and then the next, and each one is already half gone before we notice it arriving. The universe does not know you exist. The stars will continue burning whether you live well or poorly. The laws of physics are utterly indifferent to your suffering or your joy. This could be seen as bleak, and I suppose some people see it that way, but I find it liberating. If the cosmos does not care, then we are free to care about what we choose. We are not following a script written by some cosmic playwright. We are improvising, and the improvisation is beautiful precisely because it is unrehearsed, unrepeatable, and utterly our own. I am an old man now, and I can feel time pressing against me in ways I did not feel when I was young. My body reminds me daily that it is a temporary vessel. But this does not sadden me as much as you might think. I have had my turn at consciousness. I have seen sunsets and solved equations and loved people who deserved love. I have contributed what I could to human understanding, which is all anyone can do. When I am gone, the universe will be exactly as indifferent as it was before I arrived, and I find this thought oddly comforting, like returning a library book after reading it, knowing that others will. So I return to where we began. We are brief patterns in an eternal cosmos, asking questions that perhaps have no final answers. But I have learned that the asking itself is the answer. To wonder, to create meaning where none was given, to recognize our connection to all things, to embrace our smallness with gratitude rather than despair. This is what it means to live fully. I do not know if there is a purpose written into the fabric of the universe. I suspect there is not. But I know this: we are here, improbably and temporarily here, conscious and curious and capable of love. We are the universe's brief experiment in self-awareness. What we do with this gift, for it is a gift, however accidentally given, matters not because someone is watching and judging, but because we are watching and judging ourselves. My friends, do not wait for meaning to be delivered to you like mail. Create it. Do not fear your insignificance. Celebrate it as the thing that makes you free. Do not waste your precious hours on hatred or accumulation. Instead, look closely at this strange world. Ask questions. Be kind. Marvel at what is. And when your time comes, as it must come to all of us, may you say truthfully, I was here. I paid attention. I loved what could be loved. That is enough. That has always been enough.